Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is not a drill. We have the power of Armor Mewtwo. Mewtwo, oh my god. My heart, I cannot take this, guys. First off, happy 4th of July. I just finished the live stream, and now Niantic just announced that Armor Mewtwo, is coming to raids beginning July 10th to replace Groudon in raids. I'm hyped. Let's read this. Trainers, Mewtwo returns with a new look. For a limited time, you can encounter this Psychic-type Pokemon in 5-star raids. So, here you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Armor Mewtwo will appear in 5-star raid battles from July 10th at 1 p.m. to July 31st at 1 p.m. So, we're going to have, first off, Mewtwo is coming back to raids after so long. But, as an added bonus, we're going to be having Armor Mewtwo. So, this is pretty dang sweet. Mewtwo looks like a monster. If you guys saw that trailer, oh my god. I am so hyped for this, guys. Like, it just brings me back to the first movie. Like, it's just insane, honestly. And not only that, we're also going to be having a Mewtwo avatar items featuring Mewtwo as well. So they're going to be giving out some cool, stylish new items. So we're going to be having Armor Mewtwo, which is pretty insane. So we're going to go ahead and this is going to be an unexpected, totally unplanned Mewtwo raid guide to prepare for this monster. Now, what we're going to do is, let's hop on GoHub and let's take a look at Mewtwo stats. And though, granted, I have a feeling there might be some changes, but we'll see how that goes. It might just be Mewtwo with his current stats as it is. But let's go ahead and take a look at Mewtwo as it is. But I got a feeling things are gonna change for sure. But without further ado, let's hop on GoHub and let's talk about Mewtwo. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so in case you guys are wondering what Mewtwo actually does look like, there you go. Mewtwo with a max AP of 4,178, attack is 300, defense 182, and stamina 214. Mewtwo is a pure Psychic type Pokemon, and I am now much calmer now after that hype, that craziness that we just saw. But as you guys see here, like most Psychic types, it's going to be weak to Bug, Dark, and Ghost, resisting Fighting, and Psychic. So yes, guys, Mewtwo is going to be taking over raids once Groudon leaves on July 10th. Mewtwo will be taking over, but not only that, it's going to be Armor Mewtwo, which is going to be pretty insane. Now, the only thing is, I'm kind of curious about if Armor Mewtwo is going to be having different stats, or it's just going to be Mewtwo with the same stats, and then it's just with the new armor look. Which, either way, look, it just looks fantastic, honestly. So I'm really excited for this. So let's go ahead and take a look at his moves, because there's a lot to go over. So fast move wise, Mewtwo gets Psycho Cut and Confusion, both which are pretty good. Psycho Cut is fantastic because Mewtwo can because it allows you to gain energy with Mewtwo pretty quickly. And Confusion is pretty much the complete opposite. Confusion does more damage, but actually doesn't give you as much energy that quickly, but does a lot more damage. And then Mewtwo has 5 charge moves, being Focus Blast, Psychic, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, and Ice Beam. So yeah, there you go. We have Mewtwo has 5 charge moves. No joke, 5 charge moves here. It actually has 2 legacy charge moves, which if you guys have known me for quite some time, you guys already know. I have some Mewtwo's with Shadow Ball, including my prize, my 100% IV Mewtwo, which I'm still hyped to have that. But it has Hyper Beam, which is legacy, and Shadow Ball, which is legacy. Now, possibly Niantic might bring back Shadow Ball, possibly. I mean, with this, I can see him possibly doing that, because this Mewtwo looks kind of clean. But and if you guys seen the trailer where where the trainer was using Charizard versus the Mewtwo, you would have seen that Mewtwo did have Ice Beam. So I don't think the moves are going to update at all. But it would be nice to actually see if we can get Mewtwo with Shadow Ball. But it's just pretty sweet to actually get Armor Mewtwo. And just in general, Mewtwo is a fantastic Pokemon to do. It's really strong. It's really What Mewtwo has out of all the Psychic types is that it has diversity. What I love about Mewtwo is that you can actually use it as an ice attacker. It actually makes a really good ice attacker with Ice Beam. Just slightly outpaced by Mamoswine. But other than that, Mewtwo is just fantastic as an ice attacker. It also does well using as a fire attacker with flamethrower. It also has Thunderbolt. Um, and I think Mewtwo it just fantastic just because it just has diversity and having having 300 attack, being blessed with that is just fantastic. Stamina of 214 is pretty impressive, and defense 182 is pretty good as well. So yeah, so now we're gonna go ahead and take a look at a Mewtwo raid guide, and let's go ahead and talk about counters to take down this mighty powerful Pokemon. So with that, I will see you guys there on the guide. Alright guys, so here we are on the raid guide here. We found the best one we found here for Mewtwo here. These stats are these are yet to be subject to change, but it looks like the IVs and everything seems to be perfectly in point there. So we're gonna go ahead and rock with this. So obviously Mewtwo is going to be a tier 5 raid boss. Now before we go any further, if you guys were able to play Pokemon Go at the time Mewtwo was out last September, Mewtwo was actually in this tier 6 stats, which it actually was the first raid boss to actually hit over 60,000 CP. So it was a really hard raid boss, especially since it actually had 18,000 CP. So it was really hard to take down, but we're not sure if that's actually going to be implemented here. But if that's not the case, then this will be the actual numbers for Mewtwo. So it's going to have a ball CP of 54,148. Given if this is the actual numbers, I don't know, because according to if you guys saw the trailer, you would actually see that it actually have 49,430. So it might actually be slightly more tankier than normal. So we're not 100% sure as of yet in regards to where it's going to land in terms of its stats. But we do know it's going to have 15,000 HP and those 5 charge moves. So in case you guys are curious, a 100% IV Mewtwo is going to be 2387, and that's with no weather boost. With the weather boost, you're going to be looking for 2984. So windy weather, 2984. Without windy weather, 2387 for the 100% IV Mewtwo. So let's go ahead, before we can talk about counters, let's just go over the moves that it gets one more time so you guys get an idea. It's going to have Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Focus Blast, and Psychic. So it doesn't showcase Psychic, but it does get Psychic. So it's going to have five different charge moves that Mewtwo is going to have. So I think if I was to choose which one would be the hardest one to deal with, I would have to say Focus Blast, because it does hard counter Tyranitar. But other than that, or maybe Flamethrower, because it will counter the bug types. But other than that, you know, I feel like all these moves are just going to be just as deadly, especially Ice Beam, Thunder. I think okay, I'm going to say this. Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, and Flamethrower, I feel are going to be pretty deadly if you're not prepared. Because with you guys gotta keep this in mind. Mewtwo has an attack stat of 300, so I think regardless of which of the moves it has, it's gonna do so much damage. Though if Mewtwo does have Flamethrower or Psychic, Tyranitar will actually perform pretty well. Same with Giratina, especially if Mewtwo has Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, or Focus Blast. Giratina is going to do pretty well, which we're going to go over that in just a few moments. But these are the moves, and it's going to be extremely deadly. So with that being said, let's go back up here all the way to the top of the list and take a look at the counters. As you see, it does have a weakness to Dark, Bug, and Ghost. So we're going to take advantage of those weaknesses against Mewtwo here. So the supreme counters against Tyranitar is going to be, against Mewtwo. Wow, sorry, it's going to be Tyranitar with Bite Crunch. Giratina Origin with Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. I'm sorry guys, I can't contain my excitement. You guys probably already know that by now. Mewtwo itself with Psycho Cut and Shadow Ball, which I do have a squad of those. I may get those powered up. And then finally Gengar with Shadow Claw, Shadow Ball, and Lick. Now let's talk about these top contenders real quick. Tyranitar is fantastic against Mewtwo that has Psychic, Flamethrower. Being Rock and Dark type, is going to take 50% less damage from the Psychic moves, being part Dark, and it's going to resist the Flamethrower. It's going to be neutral to Ice Beam and Thunderbolt, but because Tyranitar is pretty decently tanky, it should be able to take a few of those hits, especially if the fast move happens to be Psycho Cut. Then Tyranitar is going to take very little damage from those Psycho Cuts. Confusion is still going to do a little bit of a decent amount to Tyranitar, but Other than that, it's not that bad. It's not the worst. But I would highly stay away from Tyranitar if Mewtwo has Focus Blast. If it has Focus Blast, you're going to be in for a well heavy attack, as Focus Blast is going to one-shot Tyranitar. You could actually dodge a Focus Blast, as there is no dodge glitch. You can actually dodge a Focus Blast, and you can stay in the fight for at least you can take at least one. But because Tyranitar is quite weak to Focus Blast, I will highly recommend not bringing Tyranitar if it has Focus Blast. But on the other hand, Giratina O and Gengar, which we're going to talk about those two next because they're in the same category. Gengar and Giratina both resist Focus Blast really well, especially Gengar. Gengar being Poison and Ghost type is going to take very reduced damage from that Focus Blast. However, Psycho Cut and Confusion, especially Confusion, is going to be putting in a lot of damage to Gengar, especially Confusion. Like it's going to be taking a lot of damage from that Confusion, so do keep that in mind. But regardless, Gengar is going to be fantastic against Mewtwo if it has Focus Blast. Gengar will be really good against that. Same goes for Giratina. Giratina being Ghost and Dragon is going to actually be doing really well against Flamethrower, Thunderbolt, and Focus Blast being Dragon and Ghost. It will be weak to Ice Beam, so if it has Ice Beam, stay away. I would not use Giratina at all. So, because Giratina O is part Dragon, and it's going to be taking a lot of damage from that Ice Beam, so do keep that in mind. So, other than that, these are your top Pokemon here. And then finally, we have Mewtwo itself, with Psycho Cut and Shadow Ball, which is going to resist Psychic and Focus Blast. And oh, I forgot to mention, Gengar is going to get O-code by Psychic, so don't use Gengar if it has Psychic. So do keep that in mind. Giratina is neutral to Psychic, so it can actually take the hit a little bit better. And then Mewtwo itself resists Psychic, and then Tyranitar takes 50% less from Psychic. So there you go. Next, we're going to go ahead and go into some other good Mewtwo counters. We have Weavile with Feint Attack and Foul Play. Pretty good Pokemon, but for Weavile, it's going to have to watch out for Flamethrower and Focus Blast, because Weavile is Dark and Ice, so do keep that in mind. Other than that, Weavile does resist Ice, and it takes very little damage from Psychic, being Dark type, so do keep that in mind. Next, we have Houndoom with Snarl and Foul Play, which I think this is a really good Pokemon here, because it actually takes very little from Psychic. It actually resists Flamethrower, and it resists Ice Beam, but it's neutral to Thunderbolt, and just like the other Dark types, it's weak to Focus Blast, so do keep that in mind. Absol is neutral to Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Flamethrower. Takes very little from Psychic, but it's going to get O-code by Focus Blast. So pretty much falling in all the categories for all those Pokemon there. Next we're going to talk about is Pinsir. We got Bug Bite and X-Scissor. Pinsir is going to be a not really the best choice. It does resist Focus Blast, being part Bug, if I'm not mistaken. So do keep that in mind. It is weak to Flamethrower, so pretty obscure choice, but not a bad one nonetheless. Then we have Raikou itself with Thunder Shock and Shadow Ball. It does resist the Thunderbolt. It's neutral to all the other attacks, so not that bad of a choice either. Mismagius with Sucker Punch and Shadow Ball. Actually taking 50% less from the Focus Blast, being part Ghost. Neutral to everything else. And then we have Yanmega, which is with Bug Bite and Bug Buzz. Personally, I will probably stay away from this one, because 3 of Mewtwo's charge moves are all going to be super effective on Yanmega, being the Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, and Flamethrower, because Yanmega is a Bug and Flying type, and it's going to take super effective damage from all 3 of those moves. But other than that, if Mewtwo does have Focus Blast, Yanmega will actually do pretty well, because it does quad resist the Focus Blast, being Bug and Flying, so do keep that in mind. And then we also have some other counters, but these are going to be Glass Cannons, especially when it comes to Mewtwo. Mewtwo's going to be hitting hard like a truck. Next, and then we got Bayonet with Shadow Claw and Shadow Ball. Will do really well against Focus Blast, but I feel like it'll get O-code by the other moves pretty quickly. Same goes for Sharpedo. It'll probably survive it'll definitely survive a Psychic, but will definitely go down to the other moves. Flamethrower it'll probably survive, but Focus Blast, Thunderbolt, it'll definitely go down to those. Ice Beam will still do reduced damage, but still will do a lot, because in general Sharpedo is just it's just super glassy. So do keep that in mind. So there you have it, guys. These are some good Pokemon you can use. There are some other ones you can use. Generic Pokemon like Dragonite, and Rayquaza are also not that bad. Especially if Mewtwo has the Flamethrower or Focus Blast. Dragonite and Rayquaza will be able to handle well against Mewtwo. Especially if we have if windy weather comes into play. They'll be able to resist the Focus Blast pretty well, and resist the Flamethrower as well. So there you have it, guys. We have Armor Mewtwo coming through, and those are some counters here. Now, granted, this most likely will be subject to change pretty soon, but let me know in the comments below, guys. Are you guys excited for Armor Mewtwo coming to Pokemon Go? This is pretty much the return of Mewtwo, but we're gonna also have it's gonna be in his armor. So it looks like it's going to be one heck of a challenge, and I'm really excited, and I love a good challenge. So July 10th, get hyped. Mewtwo is coming through to replace Groudon. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe, and comment, and let me know in the comments below if you guys are hyped for Armor Mewtwo. So till then, I'll catch you guys next time. Take care. Armor Mewtwo!